In this video, we're going to talk about when you're doing a 1031 exchange and someone says to you, you need to have a qualified intermediary. So what is a qualified intermediary, or sometimes known as a QI or accommodator? You need to have the QI because you are not allowed to touch your money in an exchange. The money in the sale of your property must go directly to a third party, a totally neutral third party who isn't your attorney, isn't your brother-in-law, isn't your cousin, isn't your escrow officer, and certainly isn't you. And remember, a 1031 exchange is when you sell one investment property and buy another, and you follow specific rules. You can defer your property taxes and other taxes, sometimes indefinitely. But while all investors can do this, small investors often don't know that in a 1031, they can defer their taxes, sometimes forever. My name is Maxine Golden, and I started this channel for small investors like you so that you can learn more about 1031 exchanges. If you want to learn more on how to save money, please subscribe below. So, you're doing a 1031 exchange and someone says to you, you need a qualified intermediary or a QI or an accommodator. So what are these entities? A qualified intermediary is the corporation or the company that actually holds all of your money in exchange, because one of the rules is that you're not allowed to touch the money. It goes directly into the property you're buying. And your accommodator or QI or qualified intermediary, depending on who calls it what, is the entity that actually transfers the money. The question is, why is this a requirement? Why do you have to use a QI for your money? Why can't you just take it out and put it back into the property you're buying the next day? I believe the rules were set up so that you will be encouraged to reinvest your funds into real estate or real estate related products. Like, you could even put it into an oil lease, but it's certain products that you're allowed to have under this law where you actually can defer your taxes, use the tax money you would have paid to actually build your wealth. And the rules are so specific so that you can't spend the money. And if you do, you can spend the money if you want, but if you do, you get to pay the taxes and you have less money. So what we want to discuss and talk about in our videos is, how do you follow the rules? Why do they have the rules? And let's save you some taxes so that you can put it into your wealth building. So how does this work? You're just about ready to close the sale of your investment property, and you have already hired an accommodator known as a QI or a qualified intermediary. And so your escrow knows to send your funds when it closes directly to that qualified intermediary, QI, or accommodator. The funds are held by that entity. And then when you found your new property that you're going to buy, the funds will actually go in to purchase that new property. And remember, there's definite timetables that you must tell the qualified intermediary what properties you are choosing or designating. And then you close the escrow on that property within 180 days after you close the first property. As long as you follow the process, then there'll be no issues on paying your taxes. If you do not follow the process exactly, then guess what? You possibly will have a tax to pay. And here's one thing about the qualified intermediary, accommodator, or QI that I think that people do wrong. They really should choose that accommodator, QI, qualified intermediary early on in their transaction, sometimes even before they've sold their property. And why is that? I believe it's because you get good guidance from the corporation that does this all the time. They do it day in and day out, and they will help you to make sure that you don't trip along the way. The best accommodators that I've used are title insurance companies or some companies that are set up just doing accommodation. And I can give you a few of those that I've used across the country, or you can look them up. They're pretty easy to find and check on them. But do this early on, even as you're starting to think 1031 exchange. And my name is Maxine Golden. I'm a longtime real estate broker, the 1031 exchange lady, and I started this channel for small investors like you so that you could save money on your taxes through using the process of a 1031 exchange. And tell me in the comments what state you're watching from, and I'll see you in the next video.